My children knew of that. My closest friends certainly all knew because we would take trips together.
Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, Bruce Springsteen, Alicia Keys, Janis Joplin, Carlos Santana. What do all of these legends have in common? One man. One man sat across a table, looked them in the eye, and said, "I believe in you." That man was Clive Davis.
I'm not martyring myself. I'm not brave. This is not affecting my career at this age. This is not affecting my friendships, my professional life.
And on June 22nd, 2026, the music world lost him forever. Clive Davis passed away on Monday, June 22nd, 2026, at his home in Manhattan, New York. He was 94 years old. His family confirmed the news on his official social media, releasing a statement that read, and I quote to the world, "Our father was the iconic music legend whose vision, instincts, and relentless pursuit of excellence shaped the soundtrack of countless lives. He discovered, mentored, and championed the greatest artists in modern music history, leaving an indelible mark on culture that will endure for generations." According to reports, Davis had been hospitalized in late May with an upper respiratory issue, but was discharged in early June and returned home. His official cause of death has been listed as age-related illness. His funeral service is scheduled for Monday, June 29th, in New York City. Now, if you don't know who Clive Davis is, stay with me. Because by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why the entire music industry is in mourning right now. Clive J. Davis was born on April 4th, 1932, in Brooklyn, New York, in the Crown Heights neighborhood to Herman and Florence Davis. His father worked as an electrician and salesman. They were a working-class Jewish family, and Clive was a driven, exceptionally bright kid from the start. But life hit him hard early. While he was still a freshman at New York University, where he had earned a full scholarship, both of his parents died. His mother passed first, at just 47 years old. His father followed not long after. Clive was a teenager, suddenly an orphan, with no money and nowhere to go. He moved in with his married sister in Queens and kept going to school. That determination, that refusal to give up, it would define his entire life. He graduated from NYU magna cum laude. That means with the highest academic honors, with a degree in political science. Then he earned a full scholarship to Harvard Law School, graduating in 1956. Clive Davis wasn't born into music. He was born into struggle. And he clawed his way up one step at a time. After Harvard, Davis became a lawyer drafting contracts, handling tax law. Steady, safe, predictable. But in 1960, at just 28 years old, a former colleague convinced him to join Columbia Records, one of the firm's major clients, as assistant counsel. He had zero background in music. He didn't play an instrument. He wasn't a producer. He was a lawyer who knew contracts. But something clicked. Within 5 years, he was promoted to vice president. And in 1967, just 7 years after walking in the door, Clive Davis was named president of Columbia Records, one of the most powerful music labels in the world. And he wasted no time making his mark. He took a label known mostly for classical and easy listening music and pushed it headfirst into rock and roll. He signed Janis Joplin. He signed Carlos Santana. He signed Bruce Springsteen. He signed Pink Floyd. The late 1960s and early 70s at Columbia Records. That was Clive Davis's era, and it changed popular music forever. But in 1973, at the height of his power, everything collapsed. Davis was fired from Columbia Records amid a highly publicized scandal involving allegations of misusing company funds. A Rolling Stone article at the time reported that CBS had let him go. He later pleaded guilty to tax evasion. For most people, that would be the end of the story. Not for Clive Davis. He later wrote that he was largely vindicated, that many of the most serious allegations were never proven, but the damage to his reputation was done. He had been publicly humiliated and forced out of the empire he helped build. So what did he do? He started over. In 1974, Davis founded Arista Records, built from the ground up, with nothing but his instincts and his reputation for finding talent. And within a few years, Arista Records was one of the hottest labels in the world. He signed Barry Manilow and gave him his first #1 hit. He revived the career of Aretha Franklin, the queen of soul herself, who would later call Davis the greatest record man of all time. He didn't just survive the fall. He came back bigger. But the chapter that will define Clive Davis's legacy forever is Whitney Houston. In the early 1980s, Davis was at a nightclub in New York City when he saw a young girl perform. She was singing backup for her mother, gospel legend Cissy Houston. Davis was stunned. He went backstage, introduced himself, and signed her daughter to Arista Records. That daughter was 19-year-old Whitney Houston. What followed was one of the most extraordinary partnerships in music history. Under Davis's guidance, Whitney released her debut album in 1985. It produced 7 consecutive #1 singles, a record that had never been done before. Songs like Saving All My Love for You, How Will I Know, I Wanna Dance with Somebody, and The Greatest Love of All became some of the best-selling records of all time. Whitney Houston became the biggest pop star on the planet. And Clive Davis was the man who made it happen. But their story didn't end in triumph. In 2012, Whitney Houston died in a Beverly Hills hotel room the night before Davis's famous annual pre-Grammy party. She was 48 years old. He had seen her just 2 days before and said she seemed vital and optimistic, excited about new music. Davis later wrote about that loss with heartbreak that was clear even years later. Whitney Houston was not just his greatest success. She was someone he deeply cared about. He never stopped grieving her. But Clive Davis's story is much bigger than any one artist. After Arista, he launched J Records in 2000, and his very first signing was a 19-year-old from New York City named Alicia Keys. Her debut album Songs in a Minor sold over 10 million copies and won 5 Grammy Awards. He worked closely with American Idol in its early years, signing Kelly Clarkson, Jennifer Hudson, Jordan Sparks, and Clay Aiken. He helped co-found Bad Boy Records alongside a young Sean Puffy Combs, which became the home of the notorious B.I.G. He revived the careers of Rod Stewart, Dionne Warwick, The Grateful Dead, and Carlos Santana. And through all of it, he won 4 Grammy Awards himself. And in 2000, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a non-performer. In 2003, he founded the Clive Davis Institute of Recorded Music at New York University, training the next generation of music industry professionals. He also published a best-selling autobiography in 2013, The Soundtrack of My Life, and was the subject of a documentary on Netflix called Clive Davis, The Soundtrack of Our Lives. At age 80, he publicly revealed that he was bisexual, making him one of the most prominent figures in the entertainment industry to come out later in life. He remained active in the music industry well into his 90s, hosting his famous annual pre-Grammy Gala every single year right up until the end. Since news of his passing broke, tributes have poured in from across the music world. Bruce Springsteen wrote on social media, At 22 years old, he changed my life when he signed me to Columbia Records. He treated me with the same respect and kindness as a 22-year-old nobody as he did after all my success. The New York Times remembered him as a, quote, hit-making titan of the music industry, and noted that he was one of the very few non-performers in music history to become a true household name. The BBC called him one of the most influential music executives in the history of rock and pop. Clive Davis was 94 years old. He is survived by 3 sons, a daughter, 8 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren, and his partner. He was buried surrounded by his family, the people who knew him not as a legend, but as a father and a friend. Clive Davis didn't sing a single song. He didn't play an instrument on a single record, but the music you've loved your whole life. There's a very good chance he had something to do with it. Rest in peace, Clive Davis, the man with the golden ears. If this video moved you, please hit that like button and subscribe. We cover the lives and legacies of the people who shaped our world. I'll see you in the next one.